prehistoric remains of those animals and plants who were living past in the geological time. So, what basically paleontology is? It is the study of prehistoric organisms with the help of their fossil remains found in rock. Now, the very questions which come in the mind is that what a fossil is. So, let's describe the fossils. The word fossil is derived from the Greek Latin word which is means fossilus, to dug up. So fossils are the remains or traces of animals or plants which have been preserved by natural cause in the earth's history or in the earth's crust. Now the today's lecture we will be dealing about branches of paleontology, types of fossils, conditions for preservation and the significance of paleontology. Let me give you a very brief description in that how the fossils are formed. See, forming a fossil is actually not so easy. There are certain set of conditions and certain set of environmental as well as this physical and chemical conditions which are required by the atmosphere so that the one organism or the other organism should be converted into fossil. The very foremost requirement for the conversion of any organism remain into fossil is that immediate burial, that as the organism died it should have a complete cutoff from the oxygen environment so that the bacterial decay do not harms the soft or the hard parts of the organism. Second comes the numerical abundance. Third comes the overall physical and chemical set of conditions. So we'll start the lecture today. Hope you like it. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to Introduction to Paleontology. Uh, Welcome you in the channel Geology with Saran. Let's start what paleontology is all about. Paleontology, the word paleontology came from paleo means ancient or older, onto means life, and logos means life to study. It is basically defined as a study of life of past geological ages based on the fossil remains of ancient flora and fauna which have no living descendants. Now there is a term fossil. What the fossil is? Literally the fossil came from a Latin term means fossilus, which says that anything that can be dug up from the earth, but the modern definition has some refinements. It says that the concerned object must possess direct or indirect relationship with an organism. It must be preserved by under natural processes or agency such as water, soil, or engulfed in tar or resin. The organism must be of prehistoric in nature, that is around 10,000 years old. So these conditions must be fulfilled by any organism to be considered as a fossil. Now there are many types of fossils. Let's explain one by one. First is body fossil. They are the actual remains of organism. Trace fossils, they are the indirect signs of the life such as footprints, burrows, tracks and trails. Then we have chemical fossils. They are the well preserved chemical compounds such as paleoproteins, paleocarbohydrates and any other paleochemical things which can be preserved. They can be amino acids. They are all grouped under this category. Then the next we consider is derived fossils. As the name indicates, that they are those fossils whose original home was some other place, whose original home was some other strata with other fossils, and they are said to be derived or reworked fossils. Then we have living fossils. In living fossils, it is believed that they have been extinct in the time but later found living and remain unchanged over geological periods. For example, horseshoe crab and ginkgo biloba. Then we have pseudofossils. As you know, the term pseudo indicates false. So these are certain structures of sedimentary or tectonic in origin which sometimes resembles to be as fossils, but they are not actually fossils. Such fossils are termed as pseudofossils. Now here is a diagram for you. This is a fossil, actually the fossil which is the evidence of rock, and they are preservations of animals and plant parts or sometimes the whole animal as a whole. Then we have body fossils. They are the remains of actual organisms which include bones, teeth, shells or claws. Then we have trace fossils, which are the footprints, tails, burrows, and eggs. Then we have molds. Molds are basically the fossilized impression of the actual organism on the surface into around it, right? Then we come with the branches of paleontology. As you know that paleo is word we use for ancient, so any science which we use prefix as paleo will be considered as ancient science. Then we have the two major branches, that is paleobotany and paleozoology. Paleobotany deals with the study of fossilized plant remains. Paleozoology deals with the study of fossilized animal remains. Now paleozoology is further divided into two branches, invertebrate paleontology and vertebrate paleontology. Invertebrate paleontology deals with the study of those animals which do not have vertebral column, such as starfish, earthworm, insects and worms. Vertebrate paleontology deals with the study of those animals which have vertebral column, such as fishes, reptiles, birds and mammals. Then a very advanced branch of paleontology which is known as micropaleontology. It is also the study of fossils, but these fossils are very microscopic in nature. We cannot see them by the naked eye. A very major sector of fossil comes from micropaleontology. They are radiolarians, foraminifers, diatoms, bacteria and etc. A very recent branch of micropaleontology is palynology. This deals with the paleomorphs. Paleomorphs, they are the mainly spores and pollen grains of plants. Then we have certain criteria which is essential for fossilization process. Some of them are listed here. The first one is structure of the organism. Then second, numerical abundance or population. Then third, environmental conditions. And fourth, post-depositional factors. Here is a diagram showing you the steps of fossilization, that how this process goes on. First, the animal dies. Here the diagram is showing you the example of a fish. Then the fish goes on a seabed or on a soft sediment. Then mud and clay sediments are slowly and gradually piled up and layered on the dead body of the fish. Then slowly gradually they turn into fossil, and it takes millions of years for an organism to convert into fossil. Now we'll take one structure at a glance. First is the structure of organism. Any composition or structure that offers resistance to both physical and chemical agents against destruction are more likely to be preserved. Means those organisms which have hard parts as bones, teeth, shells, etc. are more likely to be preserved as compared to those organisms which have soft parts or tissues. The second point comes is numerical abundance or population. The individual or the organisms which have large number of individuals are more prone to preservation as compared to those individuals which are lesser in number. So basically we can say that higher the number of organisms, more is the chance of their preservation. Third comes the environmental conditions. It also plays a very vital role in the process of fossilization. The factors such as rate of sedimentation, type and size of the sediment, energy of the agent, and mode of life of the organism, like it can be aquatic or marine organism, so they are more prone for fossilization as compared to the terrestrial organism. The slow rate of sedimentation and fine sediment are good for well preservation, whereas rapid sedimentation destroys or distorts the organism's structure. The fourth factor is post-depositional factors. Now after the deposition of the organism's dead body, you can say, a very thin veneer of sediment overlies the organism, and all the environmental conditions should be fulfilled to prevent fungal and bacterial decay. In such scenario, the dry sand in desert region or the freezing environment in permafrost region, or sometimes resin or asphalt or quicksand etc. are some or the best suitable sites which help for good fossilization. Now why we should study paleontology? This is also very important. The value and importance of any fossil depends upon its position in the geological column and geological location. So the fossil incorporates in these rocks are of great significance. there are certain points which I am elaborating. First is study of chronostratigraphy. Second is biostratigraphy. Third, index fossils and correlation of the rocks in strata. Study of paleoceanography. Study of paleoclimatology. Study of paleoecology. Study of organic evolution. Use in discovery of new deposits of coal and petroleum. Actually, in this segment, micropaleontology and especially the radiolarians, the foraminifers, are very important. Then study of oceanography and many other branches which are interconnected to each other. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.